Well, hello, everyone. This is Dr. Donna Antar, one of the medical advisors with Jeunesse Global, and I'm on the phone here this afternoon with Dr. William Amsalog. Today, myself and Dr. Amsalog are going to talk about Finiti, one of our brand new products, because it is truly, everybody says things are breakthrough, but this is something that is not available anywhere else, and it is one of the most amazing things that has happened in anti-aging or youth enhancement. Today we're going to talk about, you might have seen the e-blast, you'll see that we're kind of breaking this up into 3 calls because there's just so much to talk about with Finiti. So we're kind of going to do sort of like a top 10 of Finiti, all the different things that you just want to know about Finiti so that you can understand how important it is for you to take, for anybody that you care about, you want them to take this product. We're going to start with the claims, the things that we can say about Finiti, about an ingredient in Finiti that no one else can say because we have that ingredient. And then Dr. Amsalog is going to take over, and he's going to really tell you about the physiology, the science, what is the basis of all this from a more scientific and research point of view. So to get going, the key word here is the word telomere. Exactly what a telomere is, don't worry about it. Just know that it's extremely important. And Dr. Amsalog is going to go over what it is and how it works and all those different things in the second half of the call. But the most important thing to know about our telomeres is that when they're short in our cells appear and act older. When the telomeres are long, those same cells act and appear younger. They function more like, or actually indistinguishable from a younger cell. So most important thing, short telomeres bad, old, age, young, long telomeres good, youthful, young cells. And young cells, and the whole purpose of young cells is young cells work better. Young cells do have better functions in the body. So that's the key critical underlying point. Another key point of the fact that we can say, and the claim is, contains the only known patented nutrient shown to lengthen short telomeres in humans. And that's number 1. Contains the only known patented nutrient shown to lengthen short telomeres in humans. Few key points to that claim that we can make. 1, only known nutrient. By the way, there's not drugs that do this either. There's no drug that does this, and there's no other known nutrient that can do this. And when I say can do this, I mean do this in a way that's helpful and safe. They have tried to develop drugs. Of course, companies have tried to develop drugs that do this. But it's turned out that they're not safe and they have bad side effects instead of just all good effects. Everything that they've shown with this patented nutrient Finiti shows good effects, and there is research to back that up. The other thing is that this is the most extensively studied nutrient about lengthening short telomeres in humans. There is a clinical trial, actually it is still continuing, even though they've already published data from it. It started in 2007. It's extremely significant. It had 114, I believe, people in the study, and still in the study. Their first set of data that they published was in 2011. And this is huge because it's one thing to study and look at what nutrients do in what they call in vitro, or in a test tube, in a lab, in a petri dish, outside of the body, basically, outside of an animal's body or a human body. Then it's another thing to do studies inside with living organisms, but they're animal studies. They're not human studies. But our nutrient, which is called, by the way, TA65MD, Finiti, is the nutrient that has been shown to lengthen short telomeres in humans. And this is a very huge claim. If any other person you come across or any other product makes that claim, let me know, because no other no other nutrient has ever been shown to do that, and they shouldn't be. This is not good. We want to help our whole industry and the nutritional industry make sure that other companies are not saying things that they don't have enough evidence to make certain claims. So we can make that claim, and that is incredibly huge. Now, when you think about telomeres, by the way, telomeres are inside your cells. So we're talking about cells. We're talking about cellular aging. Now, what do your cells do? Your cells make up your tissues and or your organs. So there's cells that make up your heart. You have heart cells, you have liver cells, and that makes up the tissue in your heart and your liver. And then all of those components make you, right? They make me. They make Dr. Amsalog. So all of those different cells all have telomeres. A specific cell I just want to talk about right now, we're going to get into more detail in the subsequent calls, but one cell I want you to think about is a cell I'm sure you've heard about. I'm sure you've heard about your own stem cells. The stem cells are adult stem cells. The stem cells that are present in our body, they're already in our body from the moment we're born. Now, those cells have telomeres too. So the whole purpose of us being humans, having stem cells in our body, is so that those stem cells can help become virtually any other cell in the body. So those stem cells can become liver cells or brain cells or kidney cells, whatever our body needs. It's one of our body's natural rejuvenation mechanisms. However, the stem cells' telomeres, they get short too. And Dr. Amsalog is going to tell you why do the telomeres get short? What happens that telomeres get short? But stem cells, their telomeres are going to get short too. And that means that those stem cells that are, again, meant to help us in our rejuvenation process, they're not going to work as good because they're going to act more like old stem cells. So you can see how it's really vital that this is one of the underlying mechanisms for how our body is able to stay youthful, vital, and strong. Now, this nutrient, we've just said claim number one, it can lengthen short telomeres in humans. How does it do that? Well, claim number two is that it transiently, meaning intermittently, temporarily, activates telomerase. Notice the difference between the word telomerase and telomeres. Telomerase is the enzyme that works with your telomeres. I'm not going to go into the details. That's Dr. Amsalog's part. But this is the enzyme that the body uses to add length to our telomeres. You see, this is a natural process. Adding length to our telomeres is a natural process of the body. It's just that we don't always do it so good, and we tend to do the things that make them shorter more, and that's where our body gets into trouble. So, and the important part was the beginning of the claim number two, that it transiently activates telomerase, that enzyme. Think of it as a spigot or a water faucet. It doesn't just turn it on full blast. You wouldn't want that because, remember, the body is all about balance. It's all about having not too much of this and not too little of that. You have to be able to have the body work in a balanced state to get the ultimate in health and vitality. So the fact that our nutrient Finiti transiently activates telomerase is an extremely good thing. It is a natural process type of thing, so it keeps the whole balance of our telomeres and the enzyme in the natural flow. So that's really important. Number three really important claim that we can make is that this ingredient Finiti supports the delay in cellular aging, especially in or including the immune system cells. Now, this is vital because I talked earlier about cellular aging and stem cells, right? And that's obviously a really important part of our body's rejuvenation system. But our immune system is another extremely important part of our ability to remain healthy and strong. So our immune system, just for a brief overview, most of our immune system is made up of cells. We have killer cells and B cells and T cells and, all these different cells are what make up our immune system. And the immune system does much more than most people think of the immune system as, it's what prevents you from getting infections. It's what can fight off bacteria and viruses. Well, that's true. But our immune system does even more than that. It also helps police or monitor all of the other cells of the body. It is an incredibly important part of our physiology that's a little harder to conceptualize because it's not like an organ. It's not like your heart. You conceptualize your heart. It's right there. It's three-dimensional. You can feel it. You can see models of it and those kinds of things. But our immune system is a little more nebulous in the sense that it's not coming or it's not a separate or distinct organ. It's really throughout our entire physiology. And the thing that has been shown in this human study is that they found that the cells of the immune system also had their telomeres lengthened, so that those cells, according to the study, were basically reverted to a younger cell, to a younger type of cell, a younger immune system cell. And if you think about it, this is going to wind up being one of the most important parts of this whole concept of adding length to our short telomeres. So we can do all of those three things that no one else can talk about. And number 4, we have the amount of this ingredient that has been shown in these clinical studies to support these claims. So in other words, there is enough, if not some more, when you take the amount on the box or the bottle, when you take that recommended amount, which is 2 capsules once a day, and then another 2 capsules in the second part of the day. And, just space them out. If you do it every 12 hours, great. But if you do it 8 or 9 hours, that's fine too. But it definitely is more effective if you're taking it twice a day rather than once a day, which is why we said 2 twice a day. And the amount that is in that amount, 4 capsules total, 2 twice a day, is the amount that has been shown in the clinical studies to support all of those breakthrough. No other company can claim that their product does those three things. So that's number 4, that the amount that is in our product has been backed by clinical evidence. And by the way, some of those studies specifically on that nutrient, TA65MD, are in your back office. The abstracts of them are in your back office. If you want to take a look, you can do that. Now, what you may not know is that number 5, this whole science of telomeres and telomerase and what it does and what it is and what is a telomere and all those different things won the Nobel Prize. The group of scientists that really discovered how our chromosomes and our genes are protected by telomeres and that enzyme, telomerase, won the Nobel Prize. And to tell you exactly what telomeres are, what happens to cells when their telomeres get short, why and how do telomeres get short, and all a bunch of other things that I'm sure Dr. Amzalog has up his sleeve, I am very proud to introduce to you Dr. William Amzalog, medical doctor and advisory board physician with Jeunesse Global.
Thank you very much for what you have said. It's very, very important. So I will continue by 3 things. The first, we're going to talk about telomeres, we're going to talk about telomerase, and we're going to see if lengthening telomeres will reverse aging. So the first things to understand is what are telomeres, and then we have to go about 40 to 50 years ago when a scientist in Philadelphia, Professor Herflick, finds something very surprising. He finds out that when a cell duplicates, they become senescent or die after 50 to 60 duplication. And that was very surprising, and that was the first time that we have shown that. But he didn't know why. And he supposed that there was a tic-tac biological clock inside the cells and probably inside the nucleus. And it took a little time before the scientists find that it was not exactly that, almost that, but they find out these top, of the DNA in each cells, which are like protecting the DNA, which are still DNA. Some people call them garbage DNA, but it's not exactly that. And they find out that at each duplication, this end of DNA shorten and shorten and shorten until they get no more top, no more shoelaces, and they become what we call senescent. The fact that the cells doesn't have any more protection put the cells in a very embarrassing situation. They have either to die to cell time, which is called apoptosis, or they are sending some very bad molecule to the surrounding. Anyway, it's not a good thing when these cells start to be senescent. And we find out that now the tic-tac clock, the biology clock, was not anymore in the central of the cells, but at the top of each DNA that we have in our 60 trillion cells. And that was very important. So then, several years after, a scientist which won the Nobel Prize, Professor Blackburn, find out something very surprising. The first thing that they find is that, telomeres are shortening in all our body, everywhere, in the 60 trillion cells, except in two kinds of cells, which are the spermatozoid and the ovula. We call them the germinal cells, germinal cells. Why in these cells the telomeres never shorten? Well, it makes sense, because if you have a spermatozoid which have short telomere and an ovula which have short telomeres, what will happen to the baby when he was born? Considering that there was thousands of duplication before born, he will born like an old man of 80 years old, because he will have no more long telomeres all over the body. So it was normal that these type of cells have permanently long telomeres. So she find out why, because in those cells, there is an enzyme which is activated by a gene. A gene which is normally sleeping will activate an enzyme which is in every cell anyway. This enzyme called telomerase, and Professor Blackburn coined it, telomerase, was sleeping all the time but exists everywhere. The only thing is how to activate it. And this is this enzyme which activates telomerase. And when activate this telomerase act as a rebuilder. Each time that the DNA shortens, the telomere short, they bring back DNA, and so on, and so on, and so on, each time. And this is really magnificent to see how the telomere can rebuild DNA at the end of the telomeres at the end of the DNA. So the point was now, can we find something which will mimic or will activate permanently or transiently this gene? And that's the role of a company called Geron Corporation, which 10 years ago have started to do that. And they found that there is one special ingredient coming from China called astragalus, which have thousands of active ingredients inside, but some very specific ingredients were able to play this role, which means activate the gene, which in turn activate telomerase. And they done thousands of studies, and then after they sold their result to another company called TA Science, which in turn give us the worldwide exclusive for direct sales. So from this TA65 ingredient, which is coming from astragalus roots, we build a product called Finiti. Now, this Finiti has, of course, TA65, but it doesn't have only TA65. And we will see in the next probably series what this product can do. But basically, this product is able to do what? To fight against DNA damage, to activate telomerase, and to also protect stem cells as we understood, protecting stem cells is also very important because they have DNA like every other cell. So, Finiti combines 4 targets: DNA repair, telomerase activation, stem cells pool maintenance, and what we call calorimemetic activator, which is, again, activating another gene called sirtuin will activate longevity. So we have a full product, which in my opinion, it's even much more potent than only the TA65. And, we can talk hours and hours about that, but I think that the next time we will go more in detail in ingredient. Now, the third thing was, okay, if we lengthen telomeres, does it mean reversing aging? I'm not telling you preventing premature aging. I'm not telling delaying aging. I'm talking about reversing aging. Is it possible? So there is many studies showing that using reactivating telomerase or reactivating the gene will reverse aging. And I think that I will keep all the other story for the next one, for the next meeting, and maybe, Donna, I can give you back the webcast or the podcast. Thank you very much for listening.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Amzalog. It is truly phenomenal, and what we are talking about here is cellular aging. We're talking about, that's the tagline for Finiti. Cellular aging ends here. And we are definitely going to talk about lots more things and all sorts of more benefits. And like Dr. Amzalog said, it's not only the TA65 ingredient. Finiti is a very special blend. And we're going to get more into that in some of the other calls. This call is going to happen every other Wednesday. The next one therefore will not be next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. You should receive an e-blast about it also. And also this call is being recorded and will be posted in the back office in the next 48, 72 hours because we've got a holiday here in the U.S.